Alright guys, welcome to another awesome day in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Not too cold out today, so it's a great day to be working on the Yamaha Warrior. I think this is the 6th video. I don't think I've ever made a series this long before, but you guys continue to be interested and I'm just going to continue to make it because I'm actually really invested in this thing and it's turning out to be a super fun project. So if you guys are new to the channel, I picked this thing up for 200 bucks maybe about a week ago and started digging into this thing. Engine was locked up, needed to be gone through completely. So I soaked the whole cylinder in oil, freed it up, and we actually got this thing to start. And then the next step was to actually run it around the yard, and we did that last video, which was unbelievable. Couldn't believe it actually happened. We got a new battery for it, brand new battery. It was like $51. We should be getting the lines and the filter today in the mail. I think they came last time, but I'm looking around for it. I don't see anything. So I'll put the new lines and filter on today. That'll help a lot because it was leaking gas out of here before because these lines are so brittle from being so old. So I'll look around, see if I can find those lines. I think they got delivered here. They might be at my apartment, I'm not sure, but we'll put those on if we find those. And then the big thing for today is going to be doing the plastics. Everyone in the comments was like, use SOS pads or use the magic marker, I think it's called, or use sandpaper. So I got a bunch of different stuff. I got some SOS pads. All they had were the steel wool pads. I don't know if that's the correct kind. All you guys said was just use the SOS pads. So we'll try these out today. Also got 600 grit wet sandpaper. And right here. So that'll be good. Got some new towels. And then for paint, I actually got some Rust-Oleum gloss protective enamel for the frame. Hopefully that matches up okay with it. It's pretty close in color, so we will see. If not, I'll probably just use this. But yeah, it's pretty close either way. I mean, that looked good. And then for the head, I got some of this flame-proof paint for the pipe and the head and the cylinder. So we'll paint that up black. That'll look really good, I think. And then we can paint the engine, whatever that needs. So that'll look pretty good as well. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. For the plastics, it's gonna be pretty tough. I mean, they're pretty bad. I mean, if you look at that. So we'll see if the SOS pad does the trick, but we've got lots of plastics to clean up. So that'll be the main thing for today, and then obviously the painting. So we'll probably do painting first, and then the plastics, and then go from there. So stay tuned, it should be exciting. All right guys, huge update before we get going on the plastics. I know everyone was like, oh, the electric start doesn't work, really get that working. And I actually looked into it a little bit more, and it turns out you need the clutch pulled in for the electric start to work. And sure enough, I pulled that in, turn it on, check this out. And yeah, it works now, so that makes my life a lot easier. I thought it was a solenoid, which wouldn't be a big deal either, but it turns out that it worked all along, and I just was stupid enough to not even pull on the clutch, which I mean, I'm glad I know now, but I wish I would have known before. Alright guys, so before we get painting, this is definitely not how you should paint your frame if you want it to look perfect. This is a $200 Warrior. It's not going to be perfect. I don't want it to look perfect. I want it to look better. So as you can see, there's some of these rust spots on here. There's some, you know, it's just splattered rust throughout the whole machine. So we're just going to touch it up with some of this Color Max paint and primer. Doesn't have to look perfect. I'm just going to wipe it down with this rag before with some brake cleaner just to get off all the grease. But we're definitely not going to like really take our time on this thing and, you know, make it look perfect. I just want it to look presentable. This is a beater quad. It's never going to be, you know, the best quad in the world. So if you guys like fully restore this thing, obviously you're going to take the engine out. You're going to take everything off the frame. We're going to sandblast the frame and powder coat it. But with this quad, it's $200. We're not going to do that. We're just going to, you know, quick touch it up. So everyone in the comments, just, you know, I know this isn't the correct way to do it, but it's the way I'm going to do it for today. So let's get this rag out and just kind of go over the whole frame with some brake cleaner to get up all this grease, because we want the paint to stick. Just so the paint can stick to it. Let's clean off everything. Alright, so that's the grease that came off of the frame. I already cleaned the frame before, but that's the second residue that was on it. So let's take this paint and see if it matches up with the frame and just start painting it up. The frame's really not that bad, so touching it up won't be too bad at all. There's just a couple of rust spots that need to be taken care of. Alright, so we're going to paint this part of the frame first. You can see it's a little bit rusty. Alright, so the paint's looking pretty good. It's matching up okay. Not the best in the world, but it's a $200 machine, so I don't really care too much. We're going to paint these A-arms anyway, so it doesn't matter if we get paint on those. This is what I like to call the hack job paint job, because really it doesn't matter. We're just trying to make it look a little bit better. So that's already looking pretty good. It's really just about making it acceptable. So as you guys can see, the frame's looking actually pretty good. It doesn't matter if we get on the pipe at all, because we're taking off the pipe and painting that black anyway. So yeah, the frame, if you look, there's really no rust spots anymore on the whole frame. Got the front of it, it's pretty good. And obviously, like I said before, we're painting these anyway, these A-arms, so it doesn't matter if we get splatter on that. But yeah, I mean, the frame looks pretty good now. Not bad. Just makes it look a little bit better. You can see in there, no rust anymore. On the back over here, no more rust. And that took about 5 minutes to do. So obviously it doesn't look perfect. It's never going to look perfect. Alright, let's paint the head and the cylinder with some high temp paint. We're going to try to use the same brake cleaner method on this. And obviously there's some leftover paint. We'll try to scrape that off with a screwdriver. I mean, anything we do to this machine is gonna make it look a little bit better. Because this thing is pretty much a pile of junk at this point. A running pile of junk. And then for the cover right here, I have some other VHT paint that matches this up really, really well. And this is flame proof for pipes, for heads, for cylinders, all that good stuff. So let's paint it up with this. Yeah, this stuff is covering like really, really well right now. And what you do is you start up the engine and let the stuff heat up, and then it hardens on the cylinder and head. As you can see, it covers pretty good. Alright, so we'll let that dry for a little bit, and that part of the engine's done. I think the next part we could probably do is the pipe. Take out the pipe and maybe paint that guy up. Alright guys, so we're using this VHT roll bar and chassis paint. That stuff works really well for this part of the engine. And that looks pretty good. We'll do the other side here quick. But as you can see, covers pretty nicely, does the job. Obviously we're not going for a professional finish here, but it makes it look a little bit better. Alright guys, next thing we're going to do is paint up the A-arms. We've got this VHT flame proof. This is the only color I could find in that, and that matches up exactly to what the A-arms are. So as you can see, this side is like super rusty. I already painted some of this side, but we have to touch it up over here. But you can see the difference already. This is like yellowy rust. And obviously in the back, there's this big hitch on the back, which I got a couple comments on this as well. And that looks like it's welded on there. So that thing's gonna stay. But I already painted this up too. Looks like we could paint the swing arm as well though. You can see how crappy the swing arm looks. So let's paint up these A-arms here quick. So yeah, that looks a lot better. Normally this would have taken me probably 3 hours to do to take this all apart, sandblast and paint it, but you know, $200, I'm not gonna put that much time into it. So it looks pretty good. Got the two A-arms done. Let's go to the back and just paint up this swing arm here a little bit. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Not too shabby. Literally 2 minutes to do. And I just touched up the whole thing, but overall, It's looking a lot better. Not bad at all. Frame is now painted. Got the engine painted. A-arms painted. Everything's pretty much good to go. Obviously, I'm gonna need some handlebars or something. I haven't decided what I'm gonna do with that yet, so we'll paint up all the other stuff later. All right, guys, let's try to take off this pipe. Looks like we've got one bolt right here, one right here, and then obviously this comes apart right here. And then for this one, there's 2 bolts up by the motor up here. So let's take that off quick. That thing does not want to come off. Another part off, so we can sand these down and then paint these up. Alright, so this is like extremely heavy rust. We're going to take some 220 grit, I think this is 220 grit, sandpaper, and just go over it lightly. Again, this doesn't have to look perfect. This exhaust is pretty much just rusted completely out. It's really, really bad. So we'll take off as much rust as possible and then paint it up. Alright guys, got these sanded down pretty good. Let's spray paint these now. Alright guys, got these all painted up, just waiting for these to dry. While we're waiting for these to dry, let's work on the plastics a little bit. We got the SOS pads out here, and the plastics. Let's see if these clean up a bit. I'm hoping they do. If not, then we'll try the sandpaper. Alright, so I would say that works pretty well. This is what it looked like before, right there. And then that's the new right here. And that's just all the residue from the SOS pad. But it's definitely working. So thank you again to all the commenters who suggested the SOS pads. Once again, saving my butt on these. I'm happy I didn't paint them. Even if they're not perfect, they still look better than, I think, painted plastics. So let's finish this up, and we'll move on to the next plastics. I'll show you guys the finished product once it's done. Alright guys, just got done doing the plastics. I didn't go through the whole process because it took me about an hour just to do this panel. I went through about 6 of the SOS pads to get it to this point. My thumbs hurt, but I think it was worth it. It looks pretty good. I got the stickers off of it, and yeah, it turned out pretty good. A lot better than, you know, that. All that gray stuff had to come off of it, and yeah, it looks pretty decent. All right, got the pipe on. It's coming along. Looks pretty good. Actually surprised in how good this thing actually looks. Obviously beads need to be taken care of with the SOS pads as well. Along with this is pretty faded. So let's work on the fenders next. All right, we're gonna work on this. We've got the SOS pad right here. As you can see, the plastic is pretty bad. We'll see if it cleans this one up now. I've been using a little WD-40 with the pad. This one's kind of a used one already. They don't work as well when they're used, but we'll see what happens here. Alright guys, so this is what it looks like after the first layer. I'll quick wipe it off. It looks decent, but we need to do one more SOS pad and then that should be good to go. So let's start on that. Alright, that's the finished product right there. As you can see, it looks pretty good. Just for comparison, we'll do the other one side by side, so you guys can see what that looks like side by side. So that one's still really gross. This one's almost brand new looking. Alright, so that plastic is done right there. Looks pretty good. Now we're going to do the front right here. As you can see, I kind of already started it, but I just want to show you guys up close as to what happens when you clean this. I mean, it turns it almost brand new. That's crazy. So we're gonna finish up that piece, and then we've got one more piece to go as the gas tank cover. So we'll do that next. All right, guys, we got all the parts cleaned up here. We're going to start reassembling this thing. We got the air box all cleaned up. Everything is now cleaned up, ready to go back on the four-wheeler. So let's reassemble this thing and get that done. Alright guys, here's the finished product. Plastics are back on it. Obviously the whole machine's not done, but it does look quite a bit better from what it did look like. We have to do something with the rim still, but what we did today was, I think, pretty good. Obviously the seat needs to go on it, but I mean the seat we're working with is pretty bad. So we'll have to see. The lights are a little bit crooked still, and they don't look the best, but I mean, what can you do? The rest of it looks pretty clean. You can see the engine's pretty clean. Oh, there's still some rust left over from putting on the pipe, but otherwise it looks pretty good. I mean, the plastic's cleaned up, you know, fairly well. Can't complain too much. I mean, it looked really bad before this, so I'm pretty happy with it. A-arms are painted, frames painted, motors painted. It looks pretty good. So let's try to start this thing up with the electric start now that works, and see if it can start here. Probably doing a little bit high there. So it's running pretty good. You can see all the paint starting to harden on the motor, so that's good. And obviously the pipe is painted too, so that was drying off there. Yeah, let's try to fix the idle here. Alright, so we have the throttle body open. There's plenty of slack in here. I just made more slack, and you can see there's plenty of slack, so there must be something wrong with the carburetor end of things over here. Kind of weird. So we'll see what happens. I'll dig into it a little bit. Alright, so we'll have to figure out the throttle here a little bit later. It looks like this piece isn't going down fully, so I don't know what's up with that. We might have to take the carburetor apart again. But let's take this thing for a ride before it gets dark here. Alright, let's take it for a quick ride before it gets dark here. Alright guys, that's gonna be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. My Instagram is 2_vintage_. If you guys want to go follow behind the scenes, next video, we're gonna be doing the brakes and then taking it for a ride. We also have to get an air filter. We have to get a couple other pieces. We gotta get a recoil for it. We gotta get a new shift mechanism for it, and a couple more bolts and little pieces here and there. So definitely stay tuned for that. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Till next time, we are out.